All right, here we go today. Of course, the market's getting a little bit heated from the news on the Ethereum potential ETF, which might be actual. We'll break it all down for you guys. We're going to have some clips, give you some insights, also take a look at some charts. You're going to love it. My name is Paul Barron. Welcome back into Tech Path. If you're brand new to the channel and maybe you haven't subscribed right now or you've hit that little bell, do that now, because when we do these live streams, you get a notification. And a lot of times it's going to be right at the time in which you need to be aware of what's happening in the markets, also what's happening in some of these projects. So do that first. I do want to thank our sponsor, and that is iTrust. If you guys are looking at long-term holding, you want to do it in an IRA, guess what? You can put your Ethereum in there now, and you can put that in there, then go buy some ETF Ethereum. But anyway, it's a great partner for the channel, and a great place to, of course, get involved in a crypto IRA. Just check them out right there. You can go to itrustcapital.com, use our link, and you get a $100 funding reward, kind of get you started. All right, let's get into a couple of points. I do want to let you guys know we just dropped a video that is this one right here. So it's going to probably get covered up with this live stream. What I would do is go watch this. It is a great video on what is happening right now on the House floor around the debate of the FIT 21 bill. So watch it. It'll be ready. We're going to do a full breakdown of the FIT vote, probably coming in later tonight. If it actually comes through, we'll see. Watch our Twitter stream. We'll probably drop something over on X. All right, so we're going to get into a couple of things. Make sure and fill the poll out over there and drop some questions. We'll try to get into some of that today. Kobe EC, of course, dropping some interesting comparisons here. Breaking 56% of Americans currently believe we're in a recession. This is a Harris poll, and 55% of Americans believe the economy is shrinking, and 49% believe the S&P 500 is down for the year. So there is clearly a difference between normal people and investors that have been following this overheated market for really the last 6 months. We've hit, well, I think now count might be up to 24 all-time highs on the S&P 500. A couple other extension points in that they put on this tweet. Just about all of the economic data suggests that the economy is strong. Not only does it suggest the economy is strong, it suggests that historically strong as well. So all of this still a little bit cautious for me, because I always worry about the job numbers and whether or not and how the situation rolls out here with, of course, Chair Powell. We saw their Fed meeting, not the FOMC, but their kind of their little powwow that they do, and pretty much same kind of status. Everything's going to wait and see what happens with the economy, what happens with inflation, if we continue to see a little bit of slowdown there. All that still pretty much in play. So with that happening, we still have all of this regulatory scenarios that are playing out, and you've got an ETH ETF, which looks like it's most likely going to go through. In fact, you've got some other good market indicators right here. One, of course, is Tether. Prints another billion. This is crazy, man. This just shows you the amount of liquidity options that are coming. I think we even have a tweet right here on TED Talks Macro. Liquidity continues to flow into the crypto market. We're probably going to see this continue to fly, especially as we see these good signs coming in, whether from it's a regulatory environment or possibly an ETF getting passed. This tweet right here says that ETH, this is an interesting statement right here, and I think this is on the poll today. Just in, $725 billion asset manager Bernstein says ETH will reach 6,600 after a spot Ethereum ETF approval. That would be a significant move, about 80% from where ETH is today. Obviously, this all comes together possibly by Friday. There are some very significant things, though, that are happening. The biggest right here is this, and that is Ethereum ETF confirmed, question mark, of course. VanEck spot ETH ETF is listed by the DTCC. Remember when this happened with the Bitcoin ETF, guys? Everybody kind of said, well, it's starting to go out on the DTCC. I know that many analysts say, hey, this is the process, they're getting ready, those kind of things happening. It looks, though, that we are going to see this actually come through and over the line. Now, there's another point right here that BlackRock just filed updates to its 19B. Remember this, all of these kinds of last-minute actions that are being done typically by the news, I think, that FIT 21 is going to get passed. The SEC understands that. I think Gensler understands it. We are about to get regulatory environment within crypto overall. it is going to be unbelievable. So a lot of things are going to be happening. You guys should subscribe to the channel right now, because I think we're probably the best channel out there in terms of covering the legislative connection to technology, blockchain, and then of course the investment side of it when it comes to gaming Web3. So make sure you are a subscriber of the show. I want to go to this first clip. This is James Seyffert. This is one of the Bloomberg analysts, and he talks a little bit about how did this get to this point right here? How did this happen? Listen in.
And everyone we had spoken to that was involved in the process had told us up until today that there was no shot of it happening. And all of a sudden we got some texts and talked to a couple people today, and they're like, yo, something's happening. And we start asking around to everyone we know in the space, and they're like, yeah, we don't know what's happening. The SEC's doing an about face and basically saying that they're sending comments out on these 19B4s, which are it's basically a request for a rule change from the exchanges. In this case, in the past, it was to allow Bitcoin ETFs to trade. Now it's Ethereum ETFs. The deadline is May 23rd, so it's this Thursday. I was like convinced that it wasn't going to happen. Like part of me was hoping it would happen. I thought it was the right thing that would happen. But all of a sudden, the SEC just went crazy and told everyone that looks like we have comments. Here's the comments on your 19B4s. Get us new updated amended filings by tomorrow morning at some time. I think 10 a.m. is what they were told. So basically, all these filers are in this like last minute, last ditch effort to like update filings and get ready for this May 23rd deadline that is VanEck's deadline. We don't know anything other than that, but the fact that the SEC all of a sudden is engaging on this 2 days out is very shocking, very surprising.
I have a whole theory on this. Our team has been compiling research after research, understanding what's happening in the nuances of the political landscape and also within the finance structure around what we're seeing both on ETFs and the markets. It really kind of plays out into one or two things. I'll get to that in a second. I want to go to this next clip from James also, because what happens next is a very critical move, because remember, nobody really knew what was going to happen with the Bitcoin ETF. Now we know. So does that give us the validity that we need to understand this could be the big market play for Ethereum? Listen to this clip.
So what's going to happen here is if we're correct, and this is a true change, and the SEC is going to approve these things this week, that's only the 19B4. The S1 also needs to be approved. And CorpFin, as far as we're aware, has not even begun having a conversation with any of these issuers. So that could take weeks to months before that gets ironed out, and then we get these ETFs approved and trading. So even if we do get approval this week, it's going to be a very long time, or it could be a very long time before we actually get these Ethereum ETFs.
Yeah. All right. So our team, we have some different opinions on that. In and out, we're kind of split on this, as we think this is probably going to speed up pretty quickly. Obviously, you've got BlackRock involved, you've got ARK involved, and VanEck, which are all, I think, in a heated position to try to gain market share. Remember, first mover is significant. Fidelity and BlackRock own the space when it comes to Bitcoin ETF. This is new ground. This is new open water for a lot of these fund managers, and I think this is going to be one that we need to watch very closely, because who wins this space could become the alpha in the room, especially around Ethereum, because this is something that a lot of people don't realize. It's not necessarily the flow. It's the amount of accounts that roll up into these, because as accounts start to grow, these fund managers can start to build on those base accounts. So even if somebody's coming in with, 10,000, 5,000, 3,000, those kinds of accounts will start to say, all right, that's my ETF, and I'm going to start growing that, because that's how it just continues to compound on itself, just like any other investment component out there. Make sure and drop some questions in over on the sidebar. We'll try to get to as many as we can. This is where we get kind of interesting in terms of why did this happen? Because there's a lot of people that are trying to figure out, this is really a big about face potentially for the SEC. Here's Gasparino. Now, this isn't a crypto guy. This is a guy that's running and really managing what's going on in the markets and analyzing it pretty heavily. If the SEC does approve the ETH ETF, ETF will be one of the biggest regulatory 180s in recent SEC history. Proof that crypto crowd is a legitimate voting bloc. Keywords here, voting bloc. Securities lawyers tell me the guidance coming from Gary Gensler was that he wasn't even going to declare Ether security, which would have made it a complete no-go. So with all that, but now what we're hearing is after people like Deaton comes out, made their voices heard, we've got Dem lawyers now heard them, and of course got a little jittery about losing the Senate. So this is politically a position, and this goes back to what we've been following along in all of our regulatory videos that we've been doing. I think we've probably done 40 of those things, maybe 50 of the breakdowns where we go through literally, I would say 10,000 hours of footage of breaking down these nuances. The one we just dropped today, you guys got to go back and watch it because this is the debate that's going on right now on the FIT 21 bill. And this is important because there's a lot of nuances coming in from Capitol Hill that I think guide where these directives go with these regulatory agencies. And that's exactly what Gasparino is saying here. So very interesting. So his last statement right here, again, don't believe anything until you see the press release. So remember, watch out for those fakes. You've got to double check it, make sure and double check it. We'll be out there on X trying to kind of help verify that. We'll double check, triple check, quadruple check before these things get done. But if it happens, it will be a big effing deal for sure. So pretty huge going forward. Yep. Further into, you want to go into, yeah, we're going to go to the ETH approval. Yeah, I think that was where. Yeah, okay, let's go there. Yeah, we've got one clip here. I want to go to that one. Let's go to this first clip 3, I think is the one we're going to play. Let's go to that one.
People were optimistic that they would pull away some Democrats for SAB 121. And then the next day, we got 12 Democrats pull away and join the Republicans in voting to repeal SAB 121. And one of them was Chuck Schumer, like Senate Majority Leader. I mean, that was even shocking to me. I thought they would get a bunch of senators. I didn't think they'd get Chuck Schumer. So all of a sudden, that's Thursday. And then come in on Monday morning, and by late morning, well, really early afternoon, we started getting rumblings that something was happening with the SEC and these ETH ETFs. You combine that with what you were saying with Trump hosting a NFT dinner and telling everyone if you like crypto or you want crypto to stay here in the US to vote for him. I mean, that, and then you combine that with the fact that everyone I'm talking to seems like they were blindsided by this. No one was expecting this. That tells me this came from the top. This was a political decision. And I think you're right, Alex. I think this was a decision from above, possibly above the SEC's head, like Biden. By the Biden admin that decided like it's not worth fighting this. We might even lose in court if we try to do this and somebody sues us. And we're losing the votes. People are going to go to Trump solely because of the stance here, and it's just not worth it.
So that is, I think, the biggest statement is that we could be losing a voter base. And that's really what I think the Democrats have started to realize, that it is and has been real. And I think we have to thank you guys, for helping make that a reality. The likelihood is most of you watching our channel has reached out to one of your lawmakers, one of your representatives, and you've made your voice known. I know we've done it multiple times. We've been covering this for months on end about this is what's going to make a difference in this upcoming election. Of course, Trump was a little bit of a wild card because that one was a little bit unexpected to see him do a spin on it. Remember, he didn't necessarily enact the movement on, hey, go out and do some research. That was actually Biden that did that research in reference to the digital assets market, what we need to do as an administration. So there's still some interesting plays here by both parties that will potentially play out. The good thing is we're getting bipartisan support, as Sapra was saying. So that in itself, pretty big deal, I think, overall. And there's another clip I wanted to play because this is where we get into more detail of maybe how this flowed down. And I want to show you a tweet here on this as well, because I think it will start to make a lot more sense as you start to see this. Listen in.
Yeah, I mean, so if you look at like the market caps between the two of them, ETH is what, 30% roughly right now of Bitcoin, somewhere around there, upper 20s, low 30s. I think that's probably a good ballpark estimate for the demand that we'll see. So if you look at the assets and flows into the Bitcoin ETFs, maybe I think it'll be less than whatever the actual ratio is. I don't think it's going to be meaningfully less. Eric, my boss, thinks it will be meaningfully less. He's thinking 10, 15%. I think 20-ish% of what the Bitcoin ETFs did. So I don't think they're going to surpass Bitcoin ETFs, but I do think there's going to be demand here. And I wonder how much demand will come from people like, I already have the Bitcoin ETF. I might as well diversify and sell some Bitcoin and get ETH. That could happen. Who knows what's actually going to happen?
All right, so this is all becoming, I think, a stark reality to what and where the market could go. Because remember, this is setting up for a much bigger play, I think, from a technology standpoint, where blockchain will be. And the biggest issue is that we now, a G20 nation, getting basically in line with what's happening in Mahika, what's happening in Asia, and of course the United States, I think, does have the framework of being able to kind of blow this out of the water. Remember, an ETH ETF has already been passed in Hong Kong. So didn't make a lot of news, didn't get the kind of support. Sure, it got support, but I don't think it necessarily is the same as to when it happens on Wall Street here in the United States. So here's Eleanor Terrett, just to kind of remember, settle everybody down. If the bill passes the House, it still has to go through the Senate. This is the FIT 121 or the 21 bill, which could include hearings, markup, and then would have to pass the Senate as well. All of that is likely, but if we're getting overwhelming, bipartisan support, which is what we're hearing, in fact, from the research we did today and a lot of the video footage we've been covering from the debate that's happening on FIT 120 or FIT 21, it looks as though that could be the case. And if that is the case, then likelihood is we'll see a pretty much a red stamp, or excuse me, a kind of a, what do they call that? Just the automatic stamp coming in from the Senate. I want to go to this tweet right here because this gets into, I think, what is really behind most of this. This is Ryan Selkis from Masari. It says, President Trump showed up for crypto. In 1 week, $200 billion in a crypto rally, forced Senate Dems into submission on SAB 121, forced the resignation of the FDIC chair, forced the SEC to reverse course on an ETF approval, and upped the the FIT 120 or 21 odds of passage. I don't know if that's the case, but it's eerie timing with what's been happening. So if back to Casperino's tweet is that the Dems have said, we have an OS moment and we've got to take care of it because we're losing voter base, and all of these things are timing out at the perfect timing for what's happening in DC. Remember, guys, there's a lot of backroom discussions happening in DC right now around how to jockey around this and be on the right side of these kinds of decisions, because this is what will make or break a candidate. Here's another statement right here. If the SEC approves the ETH ETF, will it approve altcoin ETFs? That would be the next logical question. A couple of them that kind of play into this. There's a point down here. Will a spot ETH lead to altcoins? Let me know what you guys think. But there are a dozen trusts publicly trading in U.S. holding alternate crypto assets. This would be things like Litecoin, Chainlink. You've got Solana in here, Zcash in here, DOT. I mean, we've got some pretty big projects in here that could be maybe lining up in that. So the logic of altcoin proponents argue that non-ETH spot ETFs might gain SEC approval shortly after a spot ETF that usually follows a pretty simple argument, and then they'll go into it. So why would commissioners deny trust sponsors of other crypto assets to convert into an ETF? Don't know. We'll find out. There's going to be a lot of traction going in that direction. What does that mean for this bull run? Does this bull run push us into the ranges that we've been considering with Bitcoin over a 100K? Do we see ETH start to crack through that 10K mark, which everybody has kind of been fascinated with? Whether or not all that is still in the cards, a lot of things still have to happen, for sure. We'll get to some questions. I know we have a poll coming in. I want to get to this last tweet because this is another kind of spike in the coffers for what could be happening, and that, of course, is Nvidia earnings. Now, remember, Nvidia, Paul, why does that matter to crypto? Well, it matters because the potential for technology in those Mag 7 and upside wins, because if we do get some trading action here, it could go into the risk on markets where we are potentially heading. And we probably got to bring in Dr. Bear again and get Jeff in here because he's usually pretty consistent on how this money moves around in terms of liquidity out of the traditional securities markets and into the crypto markets. Because remember, liquidity is going to be key being able to blow this market into the next level. And Nvidia could be one of the catalysts for that. So they're expecting to report almost 25 billion in revenue that's quarter one. To put this in perspective, this reflects a 241% year over year revenue. Again, I don't know how long this can hold for Nvidia because they're pretty much, kind of the tail wagging the dog right now in terms of the S&P and the Mag 7. But everybody's watching this one close. Many people are saying, hey, short on the side of AI right now, but long it, when you look at AI in general, because that's where most of the market is going. And of course, we'll see a lot of that in what we're going to see in terms of blockchain. A lot of projects that I think we'll see coming into the space more into the AI side. All right. Yeah, we're going to find out. Yeah, for today. I think it's after hours, isn't it? Yeah, it's an after hours report. So that'll be coming in. We're going to get in over on some of the questions. Let's go over to the poll real quick and take a look at what you guys think. Could ETH pump? Everybody is very bullish on this one. Wow. 6,600. If you look at that, I'm just going to look. Okay, so my chart's on EN. Oh, well, this is interesting. This is ENS. So this is the Ethereum name service, has been pumping the last 2 days. So another big one. ENS is one that we've been on for a while. We've done a couple of videos on that. If you guys want to watch a video on it, check it out. Let's go up to ETH, take a quick look of where ETH is right now. To get that down to, let me move in a hair because sentiment trends trending up, still on the high side. But I want to go here and take a look, and we'll get into some questions of what that would mean for an upside. So if we get there, wow, that's an 80% move, guys. That would be pretty dynamic for Ethereum, even Ethereum. So let's get to some questions. Let's see, who do we have? 2-bit user says, I don't feel like an idiot for holding XRP. XRP has been doing okay. We're probably going to see quite a bit going on. Yep. And what else do we have here? Okay, okay, Chris says XRP could be the only cryptocurrency with legal clarity to pull it off an ETF, other cryptocurrencies. So you're thinking past the ETH ETF, obviously. James Obleton says Cardano could be in there. And then Brian says Solana on the ETF side. I don't know. My opinion would be you've got major projects. You've got Avalanche, which I think is maybe even a little bit more poised. Obviously, XRP could be as well, but Avalanche could get in there because of their connectivity to real-world assets, their connection into Wall Street, what they've been doing in terms of the breadth of projects that they're into. Definitely a good one, for sure. Chris Crypto says, Ripple taking the lead, for sure. XRP Dude says, in other words, Biden is tired of Gensler. Well, you know, we've talked about this for a while, is that Gensler, I think, is on borrowed time anyway. No ETF launch without BlackRock. Well, they changed their 19B filing, so that could be happening as we speak right now. Because remember, if they get that updated, does Gensler and the SEC just say, hey, all of these have passed and we're just going to approve all? We'll see. HBAR coming soon, Frankie Ortiz. Hedera has been one that continues to fly. You know, it's in our, yeah, there's HBAR right there. So kind of flat right now in the news of everything. It still needs that governance board, I think. Again, back to mine, I think entertainment is going to be the one to make HBAR move. Either that or they get something, you know, on a nation state or something that really would, I think, open up an opportunity where Hedera is going to go. Naughty Jackal says Grayscale is coming. That would be cool. Drew says 6,600 in a few months, not on day one. Well, after was the key word there. So after is a long time. It could be this month, could be, you know, end of year. We'll see. But I'm still very positive that this gets approved on Friday or Thursday. It's going to be a good one for sure. Render is breaking out now. Let's take a look real quick. So starting, okay, nice 3. We're on the daily right now, starting to move on Render. Render has been up on the sentiment charts too for the MSI, moving somewhat up versus some of the others. Let me look at the growth on that one, just off this low right here of where we are today. So a nice 20% move on that one. Thanks for the super chat, 10JK. Appreciate it. Drew says, just watched it. You should have named it the Maxine Mumbles. You got the joke, Drew. So that's good. I'm glad you guys watched it because that was a good one. It's a good one because it lines you up of understanding what's happening in politics. And believe me, the crypto industry, we're not off scot-free. This is going to be a charge and a challenge, I think, that's going to take months, if not years, to truly work out into a structured market because there's going to be a lot of missteps. Understand that. It is going to be, I think, a very intriguing time. It's a lot like what happened in the birth of the internet, mobile, all those kinds of cycles that have gone through technology. I think we're about to see that now. Is it possible for a Solana to 2x from current price by year end if ETH goes through? Okay, I won't ever say without a doubt. But when you look at Solana, and I know everybody will say, yeah, PB's, the Solana shill. By the way, we don't get paid by these tokens at all. The key here is we just watch what's happening. We do the research, we watch the market sentiment. That's really what bulls it in. You have to look at where Solana is right now, 178, of what they've been able to do in the short term. We had, I think it was Tim on last week and he was calling for like a 2K Solana. Now, granted, that's in the bull run. Could that mean this time next year, early next year? I think if ETH runs, we're going to see some pretty significant moves on Solana. It will pace behind it. The one thing that I'm going to be watching very closely is the sentiment data between those two when they bank against it, much like if you do trading pairs and look at how Solana trades against ETH. That would be a good one. Fred Williams, great show. Thanks a lot. You guys do think that Gary Gensler may be not the bad guy. This is an interesting statement right here by Fred, because this is something we contemplate in the research, the crypto pit here quite often. And that is Gensler really a closet ETH fan? And because there's some structures here that had to happen. Remember, he says ETH security, I'm not going to approve an ETH ETF, but then all of a sudden you get legislative support, bipartisan support, you get the Dems on their heels, and what guides these regulatory bodies? It's the Democrats or the Republicans. So could he have simply said, I'm waiting for you guys before I come in and get behind it? Remember, he was one of the three, and it took three to put the Bitcoin ETF through. It was Ueda and Peirce and Gensler. Those were the three votes that got it through out of the 5 commissioners. So just remember that. Maybe there is something to that. Not completely out of the realm here, even though I think he's been the villain, and he's played a very good villain during this this chapter of things for sure. All right, if you guys are not in the Diamond Circle, it is our own closed group. It's an email list. You can also visit the Substack, just pbn.substack, pbn3.substack. That's the Diamond Circle. We do out additional content there. We put out, sometimes we'll drop some of our MSI data in there for free, which is our sentiment data on 48 tokens right now. We're getting ready to pump up another 3 or 4 tokens into that, so we'll be over 50. But join now. It's a great place to get additional content. Of course, if you're not following me on X, do that. It's @Paul Barron. Catch you guys next time right here on TechPath.